Hello, everybody. Sorry for the quick ending yesterday. I forgot to unmute the last couple minutes of the show yesterday. Basically, I was just summarizing and saying goodbye, summarizing that essentially when we highlighted the 9/11 aspect to Snake Eyes 5 years ago, that essentially it was predicting the 9/10 future event of Charlie Kirk. Remember, Kirkland was assassinated in the film, shot in the same exact position Charlie Kirk was in the neck. Blood even came out, just like what we thought we saw. Bullet hole to the neck, same exact position as Charlie Kirk, by the deep state in the movie Snake Eyes, by a man with Tyler Robinson's same initials, literally in the script. Now, before we get into the latest installment of How Copper Became King, we need to cover a couple of headlines today. I'm a little bit off today because I just listened to several hours of testimony from a boy. Well, he's a man now, decorated Iraq Army vet, who claims that he was raped by Trump at the age of 13. So a part of some bizarre child fighting ring with abuse. He says Trump choked him out over and over again until he lost consciousness. And the minute he'd wake up, he'd do it again over and over. The allegations are just very troubling. Tomorrow's show, we will play some of those recordings, his testimony to someone that he trusted. And the first thing you might think is, wow, anybody can say anything about anybody. But to me, the military people who come forward with this stuff have the most to lose because their entire pension is on the line. They're in the military. You're not supposed to do that. You could actually get in trouble because they go by different rules. So, and look how powerful Trump is right now. He's not just some fly-by-night person. He's so powerful, he could literally find this guy and off him in seconds. So to me, there are two choices. Either the whole thing is a huge psyop, but what would be the end goal? Why would they bring more people against Trump if this wasn't true? Like, that just doesn't track with me. So I actually believe that it's true. We're going to play some of those recordings tomorrow. You're not even going to believe what you're going to hear. Literally torturing puppies and all kinds of weird stuff was going on. The man literally claims that Trump was the ringleader. Epstein was just a worker for Trump. So it's exactly what we thought. Yeah, it was like a blackmail ring. He said there were larger parties that were happening, and as the days would go on these parties, on these farms, toward the end is when all the bad stuff would happen. And he named several individuals. Lindsey Graham was there, who had a propensity for boy. I mean, you guys, it's unbelievable. So we'll cover that tomorrow. I don't want to get sidetracked, but we need to get into some of these headlines first, and then we'll get into how Copper became king. Now, as I've told you guys, artificial intelligence has hijacked reality. And Trump says that the states cannot put legislation, any kind of limits on artificial intelligence in any way, shape, or form. And so now we're left with images like this. This is a fake image. They can literally lie about reality. This, of course, was from Minnesota. They CGI'd the guy in front of the vehicle. This is not a real image. It's AI. They make it look like he's shooting from in front of the vehicle, which is not what happened. And so now we just have a reality that we can't even believe anymore. You guys, it's exhausting. It's exhausting looking through your social media feed, even when you're being entertained and not knowing if something is real or not. It's exhausting. Why isn't artificial intelligence clearly labeled with a huge banner underneath the videos? Heck, just yesterday, our video had a banner put under it. Why? Oh, because they thought we were saying something about reptilian humanoids, even though we never said those words in the entire video. So they The algorithms know how to find something that they deem needs to have a banner under it, but yet with artificial intelligence, they won't do it. It's almost like they want the chaos. Now, what else is going on? Well, Trump says he is now acting president of Venezuela. And guess what? Marco Rubio could be the next president of Cuba. What kind of reality are we living in? And I had to think about this for a minute. How a president can fool so many people? Well, part of it is fake sentiment. When you go online, the comment sections are full of bots and AI and fake sentiment. But when you do talk to people in public, they seem to be behind all this. Now, the setup was perfect, wasn't it? We went for decades with the Democrats having power, intentionally allowing us to be pushed around on the world stage. We were mocked. They let in a bunch of illegals. It was the perfect setup for Trump to come right in and do something about it. They hit right to the heart of conservative issues by allowing, all this stuff in our schools to be taught. We saw our children changing. We saw our children being influenced by this stuff and doing all kinds of strange deviancy because of the left and how they predictively programmed our children. So, of course, people are going to choose the lesser of two evils. But the whole thing was a setup. None of it was organic. It was intentional. And the proof that it was intentional is that there are crickets from the left. Crickets from the left, from the leaders on the left. None of the mainstream is covering these people at a time when they should be yelling the loudest against all the things that they say they stood for. Xenophobia, racism. You guys, we literally have ICE going down the street. Again, I agree with deportation. I agree that we should stop illegal immigration because it's against the law. What I don't agree with is the police state that has emerged. What I don't believe in are the people that were caught in the crossfire. What I don't believe in is the tactical gear and militarization of a federal force in our cities using military equipment. And now they're talking about invoking the Insurrection Act simply because people are protesting, blowing whistles. They're calling it harassment. They're calling it doxing these guys. But they're masked. We are right back in Iraq, it feels like. So at a time when there's actually real racial profiling on a wide scale. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen before, but it wasn't on a wide scale. At a time where there's real xenophobia, the left is silent because they've already played their role. Now, let's hop off of that and get into some of these other headlines. You guys remember when I shared with you my testimony about having Alice in Wonderland syndrome when I was a child? Well, this is in the news now. My son experienced Alice in Wonderland syndrome during the flu. Here's what that was. Remember I told you that sometimes this is associated with virus? Well, my son had strange visual disturbances. I learned he had Alice in Wonderland syndrome, a rare but temporary condition. Here's my family's experience and what experts have to say. One night, tucked him very sick son into bed, and he looked up at me confused. "You look tiny, teeny tiny, Mom. Like you shrunk," he told me. Since he had a fever, I chalked it up to that and assured him he'd feel better in the morning, but the next day it happened again, this time with a much lower fever. She took him to the pediatrician, where he tested positive for the flu. I wondered if the virus might be affecting his brain. Once he got home, I did some research and found out he had Alice in Wonderland syndrome. neurological condition in which the brain's activity or ability to process sensory input is disrupted. It alters a person's visual perception and can even distort their sense of reality. In most cases, it's temporary. The good news is it isn't something harmful on its own. The syndrome, aptly named after Lewis Carroll's famous children's story, is considered rare. However, this could be because research is limited. In many cases, likely go unreported or misunderstood. So, it's a type of hallucination. Now, when this happened to me, I did not have a fever, and it happened several times growing up and a couple times in adulthood, but not as often in adulthood. But this is insane, right? Now, I'll put a link to that story, and let's get into this next story. Now, the controllers like to tease us about conspiracy theories and echo chambers, right? This is how even though they are the originators of the echo chamber, everybody's seen the script that all the newscasters follow that's repeated 100 times across the entire country. You're like, where did they get this script? And they're all reading the same thing. And even though the ultimate echo chamber is the right-left paradigm, as people just regurgitate talking points that they saw on Fox News or CNN, right? That's the true echo chamber. Social media and people's free thought is simply a response to the echo chamber that we've been given. That's all. And it appears as though another conspiracy has come true, or even the government is admitting this, that radio waves make people sick. Now, we already knew this, and the other truth channels already knew this, but now the CIA just says that they purchased the device that they say was causing Havana syndrome. Remember the mysterious illness that they say was attacking U.S. diplomats? And in here, they literally say that the way this thing works, the technology is based off of radio frequencies. Now, they paid millions of dollars for this device to study it, I guess. But this is insane, you guys. They say it's of Russian origin. They're struggling to understand how a device powerful enough to cause the kind of damage some victims have reported could be made portable. That remains a core question. It fits into a backpack. And in here they talk about the different effects people would have: headaches, vertigo. Now, many of you have heard that some of the people in Venezuela are saying that during the United States attack, that they had ears bleeding and falling out and fainting as the U.S. deployed a similar weapon during the attack. Let's go down in here and see where it talks about radio frequencies. The device acquired by HSI produces pulsed radio waves, one of the sources said, which some officials and academics have speculated for years could be the cause of the incidents. Wow. All right, you guys. Well, let me check in with you, and then we'll get into the next installment of How Copper Became King. We're going to pick up where we left off with the theft of our coins to build our prison. And then after that, how a literal plane hit Trump's 40 Wall Street building. You know, the same place where the serial killer did architectural work on the 17th floor. Well, we're going to get into that. Well, let's take a look, you guys. With tarred hemp, over which a sheath of 18 strands, each of 7 iron wires, was laid in a close helix. It weighed nearly a ton per nautical mile, was relatively flexible, was able to withstand a pull of several tens of several tons. So there you go. The Gouda Pertchak company was armored separately by wire rope manufacturers. So this is a little bit of the history of copper and the demand of copper in America, where it started And here we are, full circle, a couple hundred years later. Now, I don't know about you, but what this seems to be saying is that the demand for copper will rise exponentially as part of the necessary 5G Wiz infrastructure. So, a government who is fully invested in carrying this technological revolution to fruition would need every ounce of copper they could get. Am I right? Including pennies, which represent half of the copper demand. Or actually, it's more. It's 86% of the copper demand. Single most highest demand for copper. So it appears to me, on the surface, that the government is being dishonest about why there is a coin shortage. They're blaming it on CV. They're blaming it on that we're all ordering online, which to me makes it seem like there would be more coins floating around if everyone's using their debit and credit cards, right? And this begs the question, was CV created to push through certain agendas, like redirecting metals away from currency and into technology? I mean, we already know that facial recognition testing was going on during CV, as well as the red flag laws came into effect and was really pushed during CV. They were doing home invasions, as well as the forcing of online purchases, right? There was also the expansion of corporate strength over small businesses. And of course, the testing of mobile contact tracing and tracking and digital currency discussion. All this came about as a result of CV. So sometimes they create things just to push forward their agendas. None of this would have happened without CV. Now here is an example. This is a heat spreader for mobile base stations. Here's one copper component. Of course, there are lots of others. Of course, all the wiring in these base stations. So you just saw the statistics. In about an hour, I'll be able to upload all of these links so you can research this for yourself. But I don't think really anybody realized how much copper pennies actually take up, because we're told that pennies have barely any copper or none at all. That's simply not the case. Let's go into the chat here. Okay, let's get into the next one. And this will be this weird building. Where did it go? Here we go. That hit, or the Trump's 40 Wall Street, and how an airplane hit the building. Now, part of this decode also has 13 ghosts, but let's get into the building here.
Designed by the devil and powered by the dead.
Maybe we should play this one from the beginning, because this is important. Let's do this. Let's go back to the beginning here. This is about 22 minutes long. I think we can play this whole thing. Okay, this is the film 13 Ghosts. And we decoded this about 5 years ago. Let's take a look here on the date, and then I'll play this for you guys. This was October 10th, 2020. And 13 Ghosts actually fits into the 40 Wall Street building and this plane that hit it. Here we go.
You can't possibly justify what you're doing, Cyrus!
Okay, sorry, I'm ready.
I represent the estate of your Uncle Cyrus Criticos.
We have an Uncle Cyrus?
My dad said he squandered the family fortune.
We have a family fortune?
Well, no, Cyrus squandered it.
Cyrus recorded this message 6 weeks ago. He asked it to be played for you in the event of his death.
I've instructed my lawyer, Mr. Morse, to deliver the essential elements in my last will and testament. Arthur, it's good to talk to you. Sadly, if you're watching this now, it means I'm no longer among the living.
Could you come back tomorrow? Is that maybe a possibility?
Oh, tomorrow? Let me see. Oh, there's about 5,570 houses right now without power.
5,570 houses right now without power. 5,570 houses right now without power.
Give it to them, Ben.
Janus, the two-faced god.
The key to what?
A key to your new house. This house is the fruit of my life's work.
Cyrus was a genius when it came to finances. Basically, you and your family don't ever have to worry about money again.
This is for real.
It is a one-of-a-kind home. It's my home, actually. But the only regret I have is that I never really got to know my nephew Arthur. This house is my attempt to make up for that.
Nice. Like a cathedral.
So if you're just tuning in, we are looking at the film 13 Ghosts and see how that links into 40 Wall Street, the copper-topped building, and apparently the copper rings in the satanic zodiac time machine wheel in the movie were called the Ocularis room. Let's keep watching here.
All right, first rule, no throwing stones.
It's marvelous, though, isn't it? A living work of art.
It's like a funhouse. I'm getting dizzy.
This is the Arcanum. Many people died in the quest for this book. It was written in the 15th century by an astrologer named Basilius. This is the Arcanum. In it, he describes the making of a certain machine, one that can see into the future. He wrote it while he was under demonic possession. As the spirits are released one by one, the house then draws them to its center. Each one adds its energy to the machine, powering it up. I can't believe Cyrus built it.
Build what? What are you talking about? Powering it up for what?
To open the Ocularis Infernum.
The Ocularis, what's that?
It's Latin. The eye of hell.
And what else do you see when you travel, Tom?
An eye. A single, giant eye.
The eye of hell?
I see fire in the ground, smoke in the air. It blocks out the stars.
In hell, there's an eye that sees everything. The past and the future, the heaven and earth, the blessed and the damned. Basilius' device. We're in the middle of a machine designed by the devil and powered by the dead. If knowledge is power, then the man who controls the Ocularis would be the most powerful man on earth. Your uncle.
Bobby, don't touch anything, okay?
By the time somebody showed up, is this your place?
Who are you?
I'm the power guy. Don't touch. Look, you probably don't know this, but your house is knocking out the power of the whole tri-quiet area. Then you get inside and check the breakers.
The 13th ghost is a failsafe. In order to stop the process, the house needs the sacrifice of life instead of death. willing human sacrifice. The sacrifice of the broken heart.
Whoa. 23 suspected online offenders, we'll call them, arrested during Operation Broken Heart.
The sacrifice of the broken heart.
The only ghost to be created out of an act of pure love.
You're the 13th ghost.
This house is not a house. It is a machine. Designed by the devil and powered by the dead.
So, Trump 40 Wall Street completed on May 1st, the highest day of Illuminati sacrifice, 1930.
In New York City on a foggy evening, an Army plane seeking a nearby landing field crashed into the 58th floor of
58th floor.
This Wall Street skyscraper. Parts of the plane, bricks, and chunks of mortar fell to the street. Fortunately, New York's downtown financial and business district was deserted at the time. The terrific impact tore a 10-foot hole.
Whoa, airplane crash into the building's 58th floor in 1946, the year Trump was born. 25 days before he was born. 600 times 60 times 60 seconds. Huh.
Through the wall. The front of the plane was reduced to rubble on this office floor 700 feet above the ground. Here, 5 bodies were found, the pilot and 4 others, including a Women's Army Corps lieutenant. The fuselage and a wing of the splintered plane fell and caught on the 20th floor ledge.
And 47 days before George Bush Jr. was born, which was 1 month and 16 days, which of course is 9/11 upside down, before George Bush Jr. was born, and the day Dewey picked the World Trade Center Board of Supervisors. Yes, George Bush Jr. was born on the exact day and year of the origination of the World Trade Center, the very place that would fall under his presidency years later.
Starting a fire. As the 5 bodies are taken away, this second terrible accident recalls last summer's similar tragedy, when a plane crashed into the world's tallest building, the 102-story Empire State Building. 2 such air collisions within 10 months in New York City spur engineers to find sure safety measures for aircraft flying over the crowded metropolitan area.
Twin airplanes hit 2 different buildings in 1946. The year that both Bush Jr. and Trump were born. Wow. Westinghouse Electric leased 4 floors in 40 Wall Street in 1941, deepening the Tesla-John Trump electric revolution mystery. Looks like there was a water god called Oceanus that was on the building, which has connections to Mithraism. Remember we talked about Mithra in the show yesterday? The hijacked version of Christianity, Sol Invictus. So there you have it. 13 ghosts. Cyrus. And now you begin to see the connection between the Cyrus archetype and the island of Cyprus, which is made of copper. Now you'll notice the orange juice shown prominently behind the laptop as they discuss the death of Cyrus. Cyrus then offers his house to the family to help complete the curse, to help offer up the sacrifice, the 13th ghost. And it's clear that copper is the theme, that orange metallic color. And of course the actor who plays Cyrus, his name is Abraham. Like Lincoln, the first copper president. Why was Lincoln the first copper president? Because under his presidency, the transatlantic copper cable went underneath the ocean and connected to Europe. And of course they have to have Cyrus die at 57, that's 5G whiz. And there's the orange man in the jumpsuit. And I'm starting to wonder, who is Cyrus? Who is the orange man? There's the key, just like Janus, the Janus key. We saw this in the 007 film with the two 007s. And of course, Trump loves his keys. He is Janus. Now, in GoldenEye, there's a 006 and a 007. 67. 6G. 67. The twins. The twinning. The digital U with 6G. Under the orange man, Trump. Let's keep watching. Janice. Bifrons. Biff. So, the family moves in to the copper and glass house built by the billionaire, Cyrus, which we now know is Trump. Now what you're going to see next is pretty bizarre, because you just saw what is called the Black Zodiac. And they also call this the Oculus. And it is made out of copper. The massive, beautifully designed brass and copper rings that form the floor of the Oculus room were created with a combination of special effects. This is the Black Zodiac. So, the sacrifice is offered in the middle of the Ocularis, and the 13th ghost is offered, and at that point, time travel occurs. Now you can see also these repeated Trump Tower themes. The architecture is undeniable. In that image, it almost looks like it would fit into the open space like a key. Now, in this film, they're surrounded by spells written on glass that are supposed to box in and trap these ghosts. She pulls out the Arcana, which is the exact name of the tarot card deck that has Trump cards in it. This is the 19th Trump card called the Sun, and there's a wall behind it. And a sun like Apollo, like Trump's mirror in The Apprentice show, sitting right across from him. The device then opens up time portals through sacrifice, as she explains here. You begin to wonder about Tesla and John Trump and Trump Tower. What is it really? Is it some kind of time machine? You see the clock in front of Trump Tower. And we heard also that this time portal is some kind of an eye. It is the dark eye. The eye of evil, as this boy explains in Childhood's End. So, similar themes of a dark eye running through two separate movies, decades apart, that we just so happen to pick up. Now, she just keeps explaining about this machine and how it was built and why this house was built. To gain power, ultimate power, over the universe. He who has the key unlocks the power. Now, there's many similarities between this house that was built and Trump Tower. The lobby looks very similar. There are escalators clad in bronze and what looks to be copper. Lots of glass, just like the house that you see here. And it all links back to power and energy, which is exactly what was going on during the time of Tesla and John Trump. There were particle accelerators and power feuds and so on and so forth. Makes you wonder what he may have learned or picked up from his uncle. Now the device spins up, and they've got the 13th sacrifice who is offering himself willingly, but at the last minute, he picks up on the fact that he's being tricked and deceived, and he shuts the whole thing down. She mentions a broken heart as the sacrifice, and that dovetails into Trump's broken heart initiative, which is just smoke and mirrors. But he wants people to believe he's doing something about traffic, and when in actuality, he is doing very little on the elite level, if anything, as he protects. Whoa. The article released on 666. June 12th is 666. 2018 is 666. Wow. Let's keep watching. And when in actuality, he is doing very little on the elite level, if anything, as he protects all of his friends that were involved in all of this, going back decades. This was 5 years ago we uploaded this video. Sounds like the Epstein files protecting all of his friends, doesn't it? Let's keep watching. The Clintons. So his children are trapped as part of the bait to draw him in to the middle of the Black Zodiac. Of course, Zodiac has 88 constellations, another time travel reference. Time and space. And that brings us to 40 Wall Street, which is Trump's most prized possession, his most prized and valuable building, full of more criminals per square foot than any other building in the world. And it is topped with copper. And I've been looking for this copper key for a very long time and had not found it until now. But this is it. Its flagpole is topped with a crystal ball, which sees into the future, or so we're told. The building completed construction on May 1st, the highest day of Illuminati sacrifice, and the founding of the Illuminati 100 years earlier. Tenants like Westinghouse Electric Company, who of course were in competition with Nikola Tesla to bring about the electric revolution. They were tenants in Trump's building in 1941, which adds to the mystery of Tesla, Westinghouse, John Trump. And just days before Trump was born, an airplane crashed into this building in 1946, the year he was born as well. This is it here. Here's the vintage footage. And of course, the building did not fall down. There was a gash, but nobody inside was hurt, unlike other buildings that fell down years later. But I thought it was interesting, the time frame, and that this happened 600 times 60 times 60 seconds before Trump was born. And it also happened 47 days before George Bush Jr. was born, which was also the same exact date that Dewey, the governor of New York, set up a board of supervisors for a World Trade Center. Imagine the odds of that. Now, there's more to this 40 Wall Street address Trump's building, because there was a sculpture that used to exist there. The sculpture was of Oceanus, which is linked directly into Mithra, which we've already explained to you is part of the Statue of Liberty cult, Sol Invictus. And now we have more signs and symbols from the era of what America really stands for. Take care and be safe, you guys. Wow, pretty powerful, right? That's why I like revisiting these older decodes, because they really reveal the truth about all of this stuff, and everything comes full circle. It all comes full circle. Now I'm in the chat for a bit, so we can recap to see if you guys have any questions about all of this. Wow. The sacrifices of, let's see. Yeah, the negative meaning of 88. Now understand that 88 was hijacked. Remember, okay, let me break this down for you, Crystal, because this is important. 88 originally is time and space. It's the sun and the moon, the way God created it. Okay? So the alternative to that, let me explain to you why. Okay? This is called an analemma. And both the sun and the moon follow this figure 8 in the sky. You can literally put them next to each other. The analemma and figure 8 in the sky. The sun follows it and the moon follows it. There's your 88, the original meaning. But remember, the devil wants to hijack everything. So how does he get through the portal? He creates sacrifice to go through the portal, just like you saw in 13 Ghosts. And that's the devil's form of the 88. Now, we have other parallels too. It's not just me saying this. Both Apollo and Artemis, which represent the sun and the moon, the twins. Apollo was born during the winter solstice, which is the opposite of Christ's birth. He requires sacrifice. He creates disease and he cures it. So that's the dark side version, is the Apollo version, which Trump represents. This is why his number is 88. It's him trying to be like the Most High, the sun and the moon, except they're doing it through the pagan avenues. I hope that makes sense, because it's actually pretty simple if you think about it. The devil copies everything that God does. This is what Mithraism is. It's a copy of the Jesus story. So don't get it twisted and don't get it conflated with, don't try to discredit God by using the devil's copy of God, is what I'm trying to say. So, Jesus' sacrifice ended the need for blood. Yes, Just Dave. Jesus' blood is enough. But the enemy keeps sacrificing to spite God, to put God on trial. That's why he does it. And he uses torture on top of it. And which is what we'll get into tomorrow. There is a new Donald Trump accuser that has come forward. We're going to listen to the tapes together. Maybe not all of them because it's several hours. But I picked out some key spots that make some direct accusations. The accusations come from a decorated Iraq war veteran. And he says that Trump raped him at 13 years old at some weird Epstein farm with hillbillies. And he said that Trump was the real ringleader of Epstein, which is what we thought all along. There are half a dozen police reports that corroborate part of his story. He has documented military service. And he said that Trump was a special kind of evil. He would choke the boy into unconsciousness. And then as soon as he would regain consciousness, he would do it over and over again. And the boy said he wasn't sure if he was going to wake up each time. Imagine the horror. He also said that Trump killed puppies in front of him to invoke fear. Now, think logically about this. The only way that a decorated war vet would come forward with a story like this, risking it all, risking his life, risking his pension, against the most powerful president in U.S. history, because you're not allowed to make false accusations, right? You could go to prison for life for making a false story. So don't take this lightly. Okay? This is not like, any other grape case. These are huge allegations. So, only one of two things can be true. Either it's part of a much larger psyop originating from Trump's office itself, or the guy's telling the truth. Because think about it, what would the advantage be to have a soldier come out and say these things about Trump? What would the advantage be? There would be no advantage. So I think we all know the answer. So we're going to play those tapes tomorrow. You could hear for yourself and decide if you want to believe this man. It sounds legit to me. But what's weird is, for some reason, rich white men have a fetish for young boys, or at least some do. Here's one. Timothy Busfield. He is Melissa Gilbert's from Little House on the Prairie. Her husband is accused of raping twin boys when they were 11 years old. He's actually at large. He's on the run as we speak. As we have a sort of Me Too movement amongst children that were abused, don't we? As they're all starting to come forward and name these people. So this guy's at large. They can't find him. It's been 3 days since they put a warrant out for his arrest. Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie has taken down her social media because people are enraged. Wow. Unbelievable. Now, let's go back in here with you guys. You guys have any questions? Okay. Melissa Gilbert called out Megyn Kelly. Now, Melissa Gilbert she said everything except naming Landon as, she has never named Michael Landon as an abuser, but look, you guys, they showed an on-screen kiss when she was like 13 or 14 years old with a 20-something-year-old boy or man. So this was for the world to see. And she hints at abuse, but she never really comes right out and says it on the set of Little House on the Prairie. So, Leilani says, where can you find the video? It's not a video, it's a voice recording. He's interviewed with a woman who broke the story. And so we'll play segments of that tomorrow. So, did you see Massachusetts trying to pass a car miles limit bill? Oh, wow. She said Landon was there to protect her. Wow. Yeah, the most wholesome show that everyone thought was the most wholesome show had predictive programming of abuse. Little House on the Prairie. Yes, it truly is a clown show. Yes, they've been normalizing it for decades. Have I checked out the Sphere in Las Vegas? Yes, Susie, we did check out the Sphere. I think we decoded U2 and how it connects to the Sphere when it first broke. We compared the Sphere to the World's Fair, the Trilon and Paris Sphere. So, yeah, we did some work on that. So maybe I don't know if that's going to be part of the series or not for Copper, but we'll definitely take a look at that. Maybe I'll re-upload it at some point. So thanks for asking. Yeah, Satan wants all his sins normalized. All right, you guys, guess we'll pop off here. We will be back tomorrow with the accusations made against Trump. I love each and every one of you. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.